Hello, everyone. Welcome to Anthropology 141L. This is the regular summer term session. Again, welcome to the course. My name is Professor Mercer. I'll be teaching the course this summer. So I'm going to give you a little information about how the course is going to be run, sort of how the procedure works and how you can best succeed in the class. Okay? To begin with, this course is a hybrid course, but technically the entirety of the course is actually online. Thus, I have an in-person component, but like all attendance, that's an option. All the documents and everything you need to be successful in the course, are here on campus in this space, right? So thus, if you can't make it to class, you've got other things going on, there are ways to learn and be highly successful in this class. And I'm offering the in-person component for those of you that want an in-person experience, or as a place to come in and actually consult with me in person. If things like online, Zoom sessions and stuff like that, aren't appealing to you, or if it's a faster way of communication. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to share the syllabus with you. Let's walk through a little bit how the course is designed, some of the intricacies of it, and how to operate the course at least, and then we'll get into the modules. Let me give you a screen share here. Okay, so in front of you is the syllabus. You can bring them up on your own computer if you want to. Probably not necessary. We can just walk through it at this point, okay? Those are our meeting dates. If you're online watching this, obviously you're within that time frame. The last day of class is the 21st of July. We should mark that on our calendar, right? That's kind of when the course officially has to end. So everything has to be done within that period of time between today. Hopefully you're watching this on the 13th. It has to be done by the 21st, okay? Now, the in-person stuff, for those of you that want to be here for the in-person stuff, Mondays, Tuesdays, 1:30 to 3:30. Okay. Now, typically, it's about 2 hours, but generally we're going to get out of 3. Okay. I mean, I don't want to hold people to 3:30. One is, many of you work in the afternoon, shifts and stuff, and you want to get time to get ready to get back home and get to work. And that can be a real hassle to do that. So I think 3 is a pretty good, exit time for us. And additionally, it helps you beat traffic out there, before it begins to mount, especially with those going back over the hill or something. All right. Okay. Now, the in-person folks, if you're gonna come in and meet, if you want to do that, I'm in the humanities building. If you don't know where it's at, it's room 102, just to make sure you have that. We're the only like anthropology, a classroom in that building. It's kind of ironic because I'm going to argue against humanities at points, within the class, which is kind of fun stuff, All right, so how to contact me, I think is really important too. Particularly for those of you who's going to be using this as a completely online sort of format. So there's my email. Now the email is not the best way to get a hold of me. There it is, cmercer@dvc.edu, and this is why. I'm going to get a lot of email from administrators, external stuff coming in, all sorts of stuff, and I just answer it sequentially as it comes in. And many times I'm dealing with college affairs, which take a long time to deal with emails. So it may be maybe a day or so before I get back to you on email. But if you will contact me either by voice or text, or using the Canvas inbox in the messenger system, that's when I'll reply to it right away. You see, nobody contacts me over Canvas except for students, and I get a little ring on my cell phone. It gives me a little beep. I have it plugged in that way. So as soon as I hear the beep, bam, bam, I can get to your message and get back to you. Right? So that will be lightning fast for you. As well as text, of course, because I'm going to see the same message through text. There's my number, 925-335-6298. And not just text, but voice. You can call me too. Now, guaranteed Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. I'm going to be available, except of course when I'm in class. But here's the thing: is it, and the evenings are fine too. If I don't have family responsibilities going on, of course I'm gonna respond to your text right away, or your voice, And generally I'm up to about 11. At least I'm good till usually I'm up to like 1 in the morning. I'm just a night owl, but my brain doesn't function after 11 like most of you guys. But say if you're working late at night, and you get home at 11 o'clock or so, and there's like right before a quiz going on, and or something's due, and you really need to talk to me, go ahead, call me or text me. It's fine. Don't worry about it. My job is to help you. And one of my loves of my life is to help other people learn, right? So, and plus, anthropology is one of my passions. It's just really not just a job, it's a hobby. So you're in a corner where I would be very excited to talk to you whenever you need to consult with me. Okay. Now, another way to get a hold of me especially when you folks are not going to be in class very much or if at all, you know, you're going to be online sort of stuff. You can make an appointment with me and we can meet on Zoom. And as frequently as you like. You know, I mean, all you have to do is hit me up with a text message or something. Say, Mercer, when can we Zoom? You know, or tomorrow, whatever. We can make an appointment for that, and there will be the link right there just by clicking that. But really, to access Zoom, it's better to do it once you're logged in, you know, through Canvas and access it, because you don't have to worry about passcodes or weird problems. So try to use the link, you know, within, you know, right there, right in front of you where you can see it. I think you can go to Tech Connect Zoom. And there's a spot for instructors, you know, a personal meeting room. And I think you can connect that way also. Okay, so there are two places in which you connect to get me for Zoom. All right, okay. So I talked a lot about the communication plan we're gonna have, you know, between you and me. And that's primarily the way we're gonna be doing it, other than that if you're in class, you can talk to me directly, right? What I think another way is for you guys to communicate with each other. So I just had a student that they said, hey, listen, I'm putting a Discord group together in a Discord server. And I'm like, great. They sent me the link and I passed it out to the rest of the class. Great, you guys can get together on like Discord, create your own groups to study. I'm also leaving the people tab open as well as the chat function open, okay? Thus you can see other students in the class and maybe people that you know, which is really great because you can form, you know, study groups, you know, or you know, work groups together to help you with the flow. And I think that's a really good thing to do. So that's really, you know, how you're going to try to stay in contact with each other. You know, particularly if you're staying out there in the online sort of sectors, right? There'll still be a way for you to create a community, you know, and get a good edge in the class. I think that students now are pretty adept in the online world in doing that. All right. Okay. Now, other things, I'll be sending out a couple announcements a week. Generally, they're important. You know, I'm not one that just like, here's the news today. I don't ever do stuff like that. It'll be important, like, you know, like here's a study guide for, you know, your first quiz. Or, you know, make sure you look at this, you know, because it'll be pertinent information. Things like that. I'll put announcements out. So you see an announcement from our class, it'll be important. So do make sure you read it. Okay. So that I want to put a word of warning. Please do read them because I'm not one to waste, you know, your time about stuff. All right. Okay. Now, next, for anybody who hasn't, you know, worked with Canvas before or, you know, who is rusty with it, and here's a basic tutorial I have for you. You can click on that, as well as some guides, some link to some video guides that'll other things to tell you about the nuances of Canvas. But here's the reality with it, is that the two best places to get a hold of people for Canvas are one, me. I worked on this platform for a long time. I used to actually be a Microsoft engineer. So, you know, as far as the design of these things and how they work, I know these things in and out. So if you have an issue with it, you know, we can Zoom and I can help you. We can share screens and help you navigate the system if you're having a problem with it. There's also the help desk. You know, they're pretty good, but they just don't Zoom with you to see exactly what the problem is. They try to, you know, verbally get to what the issue is, and there might be a line getting into the help desk. So I'm the point guy that you should get for to help you with the Canvas issues and the student help desk secondarily. Okay, all right. Next, there's a whole list of resources there: financial aid, CalWORKs, disability support service, all these things, you know, that which you should check out. You know, if you're needing money for school, we've got some good extra money because of COVID. A lot of federal grants came in. So you guys might want to, you know, explore the DVC financial aid sort of stuff to see if you're applicable to any of these things right now. So grab the money when it's there. So always check. Now, for you guys who are on DSS or disability support, what'll happen is generally when you enroll in the class, I will get, you know, some sort of email from them telling what the requirements are, you know, learning and testing and all these accommodations. But here's the deal. Sometimes there's this glitch. Sometimes they don't quite get to me in time, particularly in the summertime, you know, because it's about time compression. So if you have a particular need, you know, just send me a note, you know, something the Canvas, tell me, this is what I need, Mr. Mercer, this is what I'm allowed at, bam, I'll program it all in so there's no snafus for you, okay? Believe me, I'll believe you, okay? So tell me what you need and I'll go ahead and set it up for you, okay? All right. Next, the course in itself. Okay, so, you know, it's an introductory laboratory course, sort of built for the time of COVID. You know, I mean, typically this course before, you know, this is not a hybrid course. It's all taught within an, you know, in-class basis. It's all fully hands-on, everything in which we do. It's just as we're moving out of a pandemic, well, the issues with all that, with transmission and spread and all this sort of stuff, has kind of put some constraints on the whole hands-on sort of thing. while if you're in class, I'm going to be bringing out a lot of real stuff for you guys to look at, right? I mean, I will be, you know, and that's just what I want to be able to do. But you're not going to be sharing stuff like at tables to touch stuff and communicate stuff around. It's just not really a really good idea right now, at least at this phase. Maybe next year we'll move out of this, okay? But for the most part, I'm still going to stay within the framework of how we operate as a discipline, the practice, really what we do. That's really what a lab is. So you can see how we operate, not just conceptually all the theories, you know, but what we do sort of on a day-to-day basis and how we think about material on a day-to-day basis, right? You know, in sort of the realm of anthropological and paleoanthropological sort of research, right? Now, within this sort of framework, it's sort of designed to fit into any sort of Anthropology 140 lecture class that you may have had or you may be currently taking. Is there an advantage of taking the lab from the same instructor that you take the lecture course for? I think there is, there always will be, you know, because the course is built on the image of how I would teach Anthropology 140 or the lecture course, of course, and this provides continuity between those, okay? So yeah, there is some advantage always for that. Just letting you guys know. I try to make it as generalized as possible to fit in with any other instructor that you have, but then again, I can't jump into the mind of another instructor. Just letting you guys know that, okay? All right. Next, what you're going to need to succeed in this course, okay? The first and only thing you really need to buy is a small book called The Story of Earth. You may already have it. Let me see if I've got a copy of it right up here. Here's another one. Okay. So here it is, The Story of Earth by Robert Hazen. You know, it's available paperback as well as I'm sure Kindle, and also electronic editions are out there. You'll need this right off the bat. So it says brand spanking new, what is it, 18 bucks? You know, I don't know what the bookstore's offering it for, but don't pay more than $18 as brand spanking new. I think I've seen it out there for like 8 to 10 bucks somewhere. So that'll be about your limit of your expense on this class, 8 to 10 bucks. But you need to get this right away. We'll be utilizing this right within the first module. All right. So the next thing it says there, recommended but not essential. It says Prehistoric Life, the definitive visual history of life on Earth by Dorling Kinserly, okay, by DK Publishing. DK means do-it-yourself publishing, which means, you know, there's a do-it-yourself group, and this woman named Dorling Kinserly, you know, produced this book, signed to the publisher, and they made a short run of this book. Right, there aren't many out there. It just kind of, you know, I think back in 2012 they made it for a year, and it sort of went off the shelf, and it's hard to find. It's a pretty good book to help you do one of our major projects, the timeline project, which I'll be explaining a little bit. It's a good book to help, but most students have done their timeline project without this book and have done stellar work A's anyway. So I'm going to leave it as an absolute option. You know, it's a nice supplementary guide for you guys that want all the advantages possible. And if you can find it, I mean, if you can type it into Google and find it on a bookstore someplace out there, maybe Amazon may have a copy year round, and if it's not too expensive these days, I'm thinking like if it's less than 25 bucks, yeah, probably why not grab it, okay? But absolutely not essential, okay? Not essential. All right, let's move on. Now, other texts that I'm going to have, yeah, there's some small photocopied stuff that I've got that I placed online. And most of that stuff is just the laboratory stuff that we're going to be doing. You know, I've been utilizing labs from many different sources so that you can do these. And all the labs that we have, you know, all the material for that are online. It's on Canvas. That's why, you know, the in-class thing is an option. You don't have to go there to pick up labs. I've got everything online. This is our one-stop spot. Even if you're in class, this is going to be our document store for all the material which you're going to be needing for all the labs, okay? All right, so small stuff that we're going to have on lab that I put out there, what I call the online text, which you don't have to purchase, okay? Now, as far as grades are concerned, everyone's always concerned about the grade. That's, you know, everybody, I'm sorry the system is the way that it is. This whole A, B, C, D, E, F system. I think it's terrible. It's just a way to try to cultivate a labor force for market capitalism. I hate it. I had to go through it myself. I wish I could get rid of it, but I'm obligated by structural power above me to assign grades, and basically by percentages too. I mean, they don't realize that we're all instructors are a lot of pressure to sort of produce our normative curve too, while we can put out the classes. Of course, I push the curve as hard as I can in your favor without really getting in trouble from the dean's office. So, you know, typically in my class, You know, I have officially here 40 to 45% Bs. I always push it 50%. You know, I really want 50% of you at least to get Bs in the class. You know, A's, you know, typically 24 to 28%. Yeah. You know, upwards of 30% realistically, and C's 10%. And really, I just hesitate to give anybody your D or F, you know, just for taking the class, you know, they're trying. But I'll tell you, if you just disappear and don't turn anything in, I don't have a choice, you know, because you haven't learned enough to sort of earn this on your record. You know, you really, you know, are obligated to learn something, you know, in your life. So if you're down that low, yeah, if you're just not showing up, you know, I don't see a bit more like an hour online, or you only turn in like one assignment. No, you can't pass the class. Okay, so a little effort is needed, you know, to stay within that C group. Okay, not a moderate amount of effort for the B, but yeah, you do have to work a little bit, you know, for the A. You're just going to have to. And the way that I have it set up, it's not a course designed for, you know, abstract mathematical thinking. There's not any of that involved in, you know, an anthropology course. It's really about work. I mean, anybody can actually, you know, work enough and get an A in this course, which is why I love it, because it's an equal opportunity course, you know, for all people who have all sorts of different sort of psychological sort of ways of thinking, you know, whatever we consider brilliant is. They're probably not at any more advantage than anybody who doesn't. It's just a matter of how much work you can put into it. Right? So how are you going to be graded most precisely, right? Okay, so there's three actually major components in this, okay? You have an Earth timeline history project. You know, that's when we start from the very beginning of the class and do the very end. Most students do very well on it if you're just diligent about it. It's a creative project that allows you to put a, you know, pictorial history of the Earth together as we talk about it. So you can use your creative license to put something together. And it's worth up to 60 points. You know, and we'll look at this online because I've got several examples. I think about 8 examples in there, you know, different degrees of A's, B's, C's, and D's, right, or whatever. So you can look at what it takes to produce this timeline of all these examples. So you cannot not do well on it, because I give you as many examples as you need to show you exactly what to do. So that's 60 points, pretty good sizable portion of your grade, okay? Now labs. There are 9 labs and they're 10 points each. Okay, so I'm going to grade them just, you know, on a regular scale. You know, 6 points is a D, 7 points is a C, 8's a B, 9's an A, right? 9 or above is an A. So they're going to be graded on that basis. And essentially it's by completeness. You know, if you're missing answering questions, of course, that's when the points started to go. If you're relatively complete answers, you know, they're formatted probably well, there's legible, you'll probably get complete points in the class. It just demonstrates to me that you've learned it, okay? Now, then we have 4 quizzes. They're 30 points each. They're all multiple choice. And they each occur after the end of each module. So there are 4 modules in the course, followed by, you know, a multiple choice quiz on the material. All right. So cumulatively, you will have a total of 270 points. And I break it down on percentage-wise by those points. So 243 to 270 get to whatever, if you want an A, you know, whatever you're going to earn. 216 to 242 a B. You know, 189 to 215 to C, and hopefully not anything below, right? So, you know, how sticky I'm about the exact points? Well, it depends. You know, if you're getting your work in on time, you're trying hard, I can see that, you know, and if you say you get 242 or 241 points, am I going to deny you the A? No, I will move you up. I will move you up, okay? But if you get stuff in on time, that sort of thing, I need to see a little bit of effort. I'm always going to like bump you a little bit for that too, you know, and I think it's fair. I think it's fair and it's reasonable for me to do that, you know, and it shows me some rewards for at least trying, you know, what we call the A for effort. Well, I can help you do that a little bit by you putting in effort and being diligent. All right. Okay. So adds and drops, here's the deal. If the course isn't working out for you, or you're too busy, you have other stuff going on in life, try to drop it before the W line. Okay. And even though if you get a W on your record, it doesn't account for, you know, your GPA. If you're looking to go to a competitive institution, like a UC or perhaps, you know, competitive private school, they do take into account the number of W's, the withdrawals you have in their, you know, admissions calculations. So you want to minimize the W's, you know, particularly in your last year, you know, last 30 units, you know, at a community college before you do this. So try to get out before or ahead of time. That says, what's that deadline? Okay. All right. And that'll work for you. I have some horror stories. My past, I had a lot of W's in my record. I tried to get into Cal. I used to go to Foothill Community College in the South Bay, right? And they wouldn't let me in. I talked to a mission counselor and they said, you had too many W's in my record. I'm like, damn, right? I did eventually get into Davis, but that was back in the 1980s, right? So things are different. Things are more competitive now. So, technically, all those W's probably would have punted me out or prevented me from getting into a UC. All right. So again, I think it's really good advice. Okay. All right. So our policies, integrity is important. Be honest. Don't cheat. On exams and stuff. This is really about you learning. If you guys are like, I'm just gonna, everything's about, show on paper, nothing's important about college, it's all paper, as a paper ready to do something. That's an ideology that you're getting involved, not a reality. Okay. Your learning is important. Believe me, I've been on the workplace for a long periods of time. And I've been working alongside people that just got out of school like UCs, and they didn't know a goddamn thing. And they failed at work. They didn't get past the 90-day period. Like, that person cheated with you because they can't think their way out of a shoebox. And out you go. And once you start getting ejected by employers after your first 90 days, man, it sucks to realize you didn't really get any thinking skills while you were in school and you cheated yourself. And that stuff actually happens. I don't tell lies like that because I have the life experience, 60 years of life experience, which I've watched it. Okay. So now's the time to learn to think. That's what you're in community college for. Okay. So, if you're not doing well in the exams, that's where you get a hold of me and I help you, learn how to process the information and do well so you do well on the exams. And just like this, the more I help you, the more I get to learn who you are, the better letter of recommendations that I can write for you when you ask me for one. Okay. So remember that too. Everything works for you when you're honest in the world. Okay. The world's falling apart now because people are super dishonest, and you're watching it, particularly in Washington. All the douchebags are collapsing within their lives, right? So integrity, okay, important. Okay, interaction in class. It's an anthropology class. We're going to talk about human similarities because that's pretty much what we are. We're all one species. And there are very little differences actually, within our species. In fact, there's a marginal amount of just variation. In fact, an unhealthy amount of variation is actually so small that we're having problems getting attacked by diseases everywhere like COVID, right? Because there's not enough variation. But some people think that the variation is so much that we are different races, and that is wrong thinking because we're not. We're not. The idea of race is an ideology. It actually doesn't exist scientifically. So interaction in class, should be about that too. They were all one species, one group, and everybody has equal rights to opinions. Okay, so let's not attack anybody on their identity, whatever their orientation is. Orientation can be about anything. Your sexual, your gender orientation, your nationality, the way you think about your appearance, whatever it is. Don't. It's not necessary. Everyone deserves respect. Even a goofy guy like me, I deserve respect. Come on, respect me, okay? And I respect you. We respect each other. Okay, for late stuff that comes in, I will provide, late, quiz, makeup stuff. It's just they won't be the same quiz. The issue is, it's not fair. I have to give you the makeup quiz, which can be arguably more difficult than the original quiz, and they're just more difficult questions. So, try to do the real quiz and not the makeup. Try not to do it late, okay? It's just going to work better for you GPA-wise to get the quiz done when it's supposed to. Now, the quizzes I'm going to open up for 2 days, okay? So it's not just one shot on one day. You can take it on, either of 2 days, okay? So I think that makes it more fair for you too. So there's less of a likelihood that you'd have to miss it because of something that happens within your life. But if something is going to come up though, let me know ahead of time, okay? And maybe I can make some different sort of arrangements, maybe not quite the hard midterm or the hard makeup, okay? If you let me know ahead of time, like I've got this plan, I've got to go from sports activity, then I can give you, more of a comparable sort of makeup sort of a quiz. All right. Okay, next, the class within itself. All right, so there's 4 modules within it. Now, the dates when everything is due are going to be on the module section themselves in Canvas. This schedule here, it's really just so you can see, the stuff that's contained within a module, so you'll know what to go back and study. It's like a one-shot, like, what do I need to study for this module quiz? There it is right there. Those are the videos. Those are the readings, right? Right there, right in front of you. tells you everything that you're supposed to do, okay, to pull everything together to be successful on lab quiz number 1. So I wanted to place it just in one spot for you to actually see it. And I'm going to be doing that all the way for the other modules. There's module 2, there's all the material. And in lab quiz number 2, there's module 3, all the stuff you should be looking at that I'm going to be drawing questions from, all the way on down to the final lab quiz. All right, now let's go to the modules themselves, okay? So I'm going to do a stop share there and pick up a share for the modules. Okay, here you go. So by the time you are on this class, I'm going to have the module 2 and module 3 and module 4 shut down because I don't want you to get too far ahead. It's not going to actually help you. It's not going to help you. In fact, it could actually hurt you. What I will do is open up the next module being studied, in 3 or 4 days in advance, of your first quiz. Like say module 1 quiz is on June 22nd, okay? Well, on June 19th, I'll have module 2 open. So if you feel you've done enough, you're totally ready for that quiz and you really are itching to go ahead, well, 3 days in advance, I'll turn over module 2 for you, okay? So that's the way that it's got to work. And I think that's fair. I've seen in the past too many students say, I just want to get the whole course done in 1 week. It doesn't actually work that way. You're not going to be able to do that. And you'll sacrifice your grade. I know at the rate in which people can learn and learn well and really digest the material. And over the summer school, I'm going to keep you at that pace so that you can actually perform your best. And that's just based on modeling and what we know, okay? This is science, okay? So let's look at what you've got in module 1. There's an introduction to laboratory activities, right? Now, here's the deal. That's exactly what you're looking at right now because you're already in module 1 for that, okay? This is really what this whole sort of, is about. Now, what we can talk a lot about is what you're supposed to be doing at this particular period of time, and getting yourself started here. Right? So let's have a look. Okay, so at the very top of the page where you say Introduction to ANTHR 141, how it works, now see, that's where this video is going to be placed at, right? So you're going to see that right now. That's what you actually clicked on, right? All right, the first thing you want to do is look at a film. We're going to start out kind of slow. There's no labs due, no actual physical stuff you have to do, for the first several weeks of the class. I want you to sort of start a little bit slow, and then we're going to start getting into the major work and then sort of come down off the major work. Thus, if you're taking other summer school courses, they're going to hit you with a lot of work right off the bat. It'll give you a little buffer. And we'll finish a little bit slower. Thus, if you've got a course at the very end, like an English course, demanding a lot of paper or something, we'll finish a little bit easier towards the end to allow you to accommodate for the other classes, which might be more difficult for you, okay? So let's start slow by looking at some great visuals here. The first one is a film called Why Are We Here? And it's part of a Universe series by Brian Cox. I'm going to go see Brian Cox in Portland on June 10th. I'm making this a video, before the course starts. So I'll come back with information about how that went. So it's actually 26th. I'm producing this video right now of May. So I'll give you a little, a summary cursory lecture about what I saw in his lecture that I'm going to go see in Portland. But this is a great film because really it argues about the value of science, the frameworks, and really fundamentally, what are we able to find out about the nature of reality, right? And one of the things about science is that people find it boring because I'll tell you what, one thing science doesn't do is produce meaning very often, right? It tells you about what things are, how they operate, but it doesn't provide meaning to you. And as anything that a human is we're meaning-making machines. It has to mean something to us or relate to something for us, to relate our interest, spark our interest in something. Well, in this film, Brian Cox is saying the framework around science, what we produce right now, might be able to begin to produce meaning about something, about reality itself, and really what reality actually is. And fundamentally, that's the human experience. Really, we're the only creatures on the planet that can really contemplate, the origins of Earth, including the universe and life itself, and in all that sort of spectrum, it tells us a lot about ourselves, the anthropology of humanity. So this is a broad, sweeping sort of introduction to that. Okay, and I have a couple of words about that film. There's a few things that Brian Cox was wrong about. A few things I want to discuss that, which is why I'm a really big fan of Brian, because we argue online a lot, and he does concede I'm right about a few things. So I wanted you to watch the next video, the comments that I've made about that film, to sort of bring everything into fruition, how it actually impacts this course. Right? Now, next, what I want you to do is watch this film called Life's Rocky Start. Now, here's it is. Like, picture that guy you see right there. That's Robert Hazen. He's the guy that wrote this book that we're going to be reading. That film is basically a summary of this book, which is pretty cool. That film and this book and the framework of this book are enough to get you going on a major project we're doing this course, which is the Earth Timeline Project, which we'll be talking about in a separate assignment window, the Earth Timeline Project later on. So it behooves you to watch that film. Watch that film, very closely, and take some notes on it. That's really important because it'll get you about 90% of everything you're going to find in this book. I had you get this book because I want you guys to have a reference area when you're building the timeline, a quick place to look up the material that you need to build an Earth timeline. So, and I know people really hate to read these days. They'd rather watch a presentation like the movie instead. So I think, together they're going to produce a really good experience for you. And they'll help you learn and produce a project. Okay. So the reading that I want you to try to get through, so I'm going to be changing the date there. This is an old sort of date. It says, complete by 2:10. Really what you want to do is sort of complete that within the next, I would say, week or so. From the time you're viewing this video to the time picking up this book, about a week, you want to have the first maybe 100 pages sort of gone through. Now, here's the thing about the book is that Robert Hazen, he's a chemist, he's a geochemist. And geochemists, even though they're trying to write an introductory book for laymen, it's still kind of technical, particularly on the chemistry. What he thinks is easy chemistry for most people is not. Now, for me, I'm looking at this easy chemistry, but I was a chemistry major at the University of California, have a degree in chemistry. So to me, it looks very simple, but for most of you, it's not. Thus, a way to actually approach this book is when you see, things that talk about chemistry, just omit it. It's not going to be relevant for you. So when he talks about geochemistry, just skip at this point and look for the main big ideas. What are the big ideas he's talking about, right? That's what we're trying to anchor ourselves on, not the tedious conversations about chemistry. And mostly he throws that out sort of like in the first chapter. So most of that you can kind of just sort of gloss over, okay? So remember that you don't have to deal with any of the chemistry whatsoever, particularly in the framework of an introductory anthropology laboratory course. All right. So that's what I want you to do to sort of get yourself going for the very first week of class. Now, if you're in class, we're going to be looking at these videos. That's one of the things we are going to be doing, actually discussing them in class. Now, for you guys that are on an online basis, you'll just be watching them here and then looking at my comments that I've actually made, within my videos here. And both should work out pretty well because it's going to be the same material. All right. All right, you guys, so I'll get us started. And once you complete that, you can work on the rest of the assignment. So I'm going to stop the screen share right now because I've gone on for quite a while. Again, don't be afraid to reach out with me. And for those of you who are going to be in class, I'll see you in class. If not, hopefully I can see you guys online sometime, maybe within a Zoom session if you care to interact with me. All right, guys, bye.